That's what I'm worried about. Anyway, Mr. Berry.
Dynamite. Dynamite. Thank you.
Chuck Berry was not an easy person. I think going to prison, and they do say that a prison sentence of any length changes the person.
He was behind bars 3 times for charges ranging from attempted robbery to tax evasion and convicted of transporting an underage girl across state lines.
Did you know that there was a scandalous secret Chuck Berry hid for years? So Chuck Berry didn't just invent rock and roll's signature swagger, he lived it. But for every groundbreaking riff and legendary hit, there was an equally shocking controversy waiting in the wings. From legal battles to arrests, lawsuits to scandals, and even robbery. Berry's life was as chaotic as his music was revolutionary. How did a rock pioneer go from shaping music history to making headlines for all the wrong reasons?
He was behind bars 3 times for charges ranging from attempted robbery to tax evasion and convicted of transporting an underage girl across state lines.
And how much of his legacy is pure talent versus pure trouble? Let's break down.
We recorded Maybelline, Wee Wee Hours, Too Much Monkey. By the way, I had these songs written during that week. Too Much Monkey Business, I think Roll Over Beethoven. And we did all 4 of them in, less than 6 hours. Maybelline had 36 takes, by the way.
Chuck Berry was born in St. Louis, Missouri. He was the youngest child in his family. His father was a contractor and also worked at a church. His mother was a school principal. He grew up in a nice neighborhood where many middle-class families lived. From a young age, he loved music and enjoyed playing the guitar.
Most of the music that I heard in my youth was Western music.
And not blues?
No, I never heard any blues when I was in elementary school, no.
As a teenager, Berry started playing the blues. He listened to other musicians and learned from them. One of his biggest influences was T-Bone Walker. Berry copied some of his guitar tricks and showmanship. He also took guitar lessons from a friend named Ira Harris. These lessons helped him develop his unique style of playing.
Working for my father in the white neighborhoods, I never heard Muddy Waters. I never heard Elmo James. Howlin' Wolf, I never heard him. I heard Frank Sinatra. I heard Pat Boone, Pat Boone doing Muddy Waters or whoever's number,
In the early 1950s, Berry performed in local clubs in St. Louis. He played with different bands to earn extra money. By 1953, he joined a band with pianist Johnny Johnson. They played blues, ballads, and country music. At first, some people laughed when Berry played country songs because they thought country music was only for white people. But soon, the audience started to enjoy it. They danced to the music and asked him to play more country songs. In 1954, Berry recorded 2 songs with a group called Joe Alexander and the Cubans. His style was different from other musicians at the time. He mixed country music with rhythm and blues, R&B. His smooth singing voice was similar to Nat King Cole, and his music had the energy of Muddy Waters. This unique mix made his songs popular with both black and white audiences.
And play good music for the white people and sell as well there as I could in the neighborhood.
Berry's career took off in 1956 when his song Roll Over Beethoven became a hit. It reached number 29 on the music charts. This success made him famous, and he started touring across the country. On the road, he met other musicians like Carl Perkins. Perkins said he could hear the country influence in Berry's music and respected him as a songwriter. In 1957, Berry joined a big music tour called Biggest Show of Stars. He traveled across the United States with famous artists like the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly. That same year, he appeared on TV, singing his hit song, Rock and Roll Music. Berry continued making hit songs for the next few years. Some of his most famous songs included School Days,
Hell, hell, rock and roll.
Sweet Little 16, and Johnny Be Good. Chuck was talented and many people copied his style, but his life changed when he was sent to prison. Barry was arrested because of a law called the Mann Act. This law was made to stop people from taking women across state lines for bad reasons. But the law was not always clear. It was used against famous people, including Barry and a boxer named Jack Johnson. Barry met a 14-year-old girl named Janice Noreen Escalante in a bar in Juarez, Mexico. He said he gave her a job in his nightclub in St. Louis, but after 3 weeks, he fired her. She later told the police a different story. Because of this, Barry was arrested.
He was behind bars 3 times for charges ranging from attempted robbery to tax evasion and convicted of transporting an underage girl across state lines.
His trial was not fair. The jury was all white men, and the judge made racist comments. Barry was found guilty and sentenced to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Later, a higher court said the trial was unfair and he got a new trial. But he was still found guilty again and spent about 2 years in prison. Prison changed Barry. Before, he was a friendly and fun person. He loved playing music with other musicians and joking around. But after he came out of prison, he was different. He became cold and distant. He did not talk much and seemed angry.
Chuck Berry was not an easy person. I think going to prison, and they do say that a prison sentence of any length changes the person.
Other musicians noticed the change. Carl Perkins, another famous musician, said Barry was not the same man. He believed that years of hard work and traveling had already made Barry tired. But prison made things worse. Even though he was in prison, Barry's music stayed popular. People still listened to his songs and copied his style. When he came out, he continued making music, but he was never the same person again. For Chuck Berry, some people believed that racism played a role in his troubles, but some of the things he did were very clear. In the 1980s, Barry bought a restaurant in Missouri. He called it the Southern Air. He helped run the restaurant himself. People came to eat and sometimes hoped to see the famous musician. But in 1990, something shocking happened. A female cook who worked there said that Barry put hidden cameras in the restaurant's bathroom. These cameras recorded women undressing and using the toilet. He also had cameras at his home. A worker found a box full of tapes. These tapes showed many women. They were recorded from different angles, like someone had carefully put the videos together. Some of the women were very young, even under 18. Barry did not go to jail for this, but many women sued him. A group of 59 women took him to court. In the end, Barry had to pay $1.2 million to settle the case. That money was shared among the women. After this, his restaurant closed. Even though he was caught, Barry still asked for his tapes back. Many people were shocked that he even tried to do that. Around the same time, Barry got into more trouble. The police believed he was hiding drugs. They thought he used his guitar case to move around the country. In 1990, federal agents went to his home to look for drugs. They searched everywhere, but they did not find any cocaine.
We talked about him being this rock and roll persona, yet at the same time, rock and roll, but he didn't have the part, certainly, as far as we know, or drink.
Part.
Yeah.
He didn't have the thing. He didn't like it.
But Barry was not completely innocent. The police found marijuana and hashish in his house. That was illegal. Even worse, they found a huge amount of pornography. There were many tapes, magazines, and photos. Some of the pictures were of young girls who were not 18 yet. Because of this, Barry was charged with marijuana possession and child abuse. Barry's lawyers worked out a deal. The charges for the underage pictures were dropped, but he still got in trouble for having marijuana. Instead of going to jail, he got 2 years of probation. That meant he had to follow strict rules and stay out of trouble, or he would go to prison. Barry's scandals were very serious. Many people felt disgusted by what he did. Even though he was a music legend, his actions hurt his reputation. Some fans still loved his music, but others could not forget what he had done.
Me and the Stones and the Beatles and anybody that ever picked up a guitar and played rock and roll, we owe everything, and we owe it all to Chuck.
But Barry also got into trouble. As a teenager, he and some friends robbed stores in Kansas City, Missouri. They even stole a car at gunpoint. He later said in his book that his own car broke down, and he used a broken gun to take another one. The police caught him, and he was sent to a reform school for young criminals.
After he'd done at a reform school that he was in, he'd done time. And I think it really annoyed him.
While in the facility, Barry didn't waste time. He joined a singing group and even tried boxing. The group became good, and they were allowed to perform outside the school. He spent a few years there before being released on his 21st birthday. Barry stayed out of trouble for a while and focused on his music career. He became a rock and roll star, known for his hit songs and energetic performances. Many young artists looked up to him, but his troubles didn't end. In 1987, he got into legal trouble again. He was accused of hitting a woman in the face. She needed stitches, and he had to pay a fine. Around the same time, police found out that his restaurant had hidden cameras in the women's restroom. The cameras recorded women without their knowledge. Some were very young. The tapes were found in his house, and he had to pay over $1 million in settlements to the victims. Chuck Berry was a mix of talent and controversy. Some people, like Keith Richards, didn't like him. Others, like Bob Dylan, respected him and called him the Shakespeare of rock and roll. No matter what people thought of him, one thing was clear: Chuck Berry changed music forever.
But there's another thing. When you went to the tax problem, he was offered another deal.
Chuck Berry got into trouble with the law in 1979. He did not pay all the taxes he owed to the government. He made money in 1973, but he did not give the right amount to the tax office. The government found out and took him to court. Berry admitted that he did not pay about $110,000 in taxes. The judge gave him a punishment. He had to spend 4 months in prison. He also had to do 1,000 hours of work to help the community. This was a tough time for him, but he had no choice. He had to accept what the court decided.
The deal meant that he would be losing a lot of money. So going in and writing the book and sitting in this very sort of, not prison, but sort of open prison, was a better deal. And as a businessman.
Berry also had problems with other musicians. He liked to be in control and did things his own way. Many musicians did not like this. He did not like to practice with his backup bands. He also did not give them a list of songs before a show. This made it hard for them to play well with him. The other musicians wanted to know what songs they would play, but Berry did not tell them. This caused frustration. Some musicians found it difficult to work with him. Even though Berry had talent, his attitude caused problems. He wanted things done his way, and he did not always think about others. This led to tension with the people who worked with him. Some musicians still played with him because he was a legend. Others chose to avoid him because they did not like the way he treated them.
He evidently liked it because he told me to go back and get the band and come up and he'd consider a contract.
Chuck Berry was very careful with his money. He did not trust people easily, especially when it came to getting paid for his performances. He had a special rule in his contract. He had to be paid in cash before he went on stage. Promoters could not just promise to pay him later. They had to bring the money in a paper bag and give it to him before the concert started. If they wanted him to play an extra song, they had to pay him for that too. And it had to be arranged before the show. Twisted Sister guitarist J.J. French once said that Berry did this because he did not want to be cheated. In the music business, Some people would refuse to pay after the concert or write a check that would bounce. Barry knew this, so he made sure he got his money first. Because he always dealt in cash, his money records were not very clear. He did not always report everything properly. This got him into trouble. In 1979, he was caught for not paying his taxes. He owed the government about $110,000 from the money he made in 1973. Since he did not pay, he was charged with tax evasion. He had to go to prison for 4 months. After that, he had to do 1,000 hours of community service. He did this by performing benefit concerts. Instead of just cleaning roads or doing other work, he used his music to give back to the community. Chuck Berry was a big influence on many musicians. John Lennon of the Beatles once said that if rock and roll had another name, it would be Chuck Berry. Bruce Springsteen also called Berry one of the greatest rock musicians. Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones admitted that he copied many of Berry's guitar licks. But some musicians did more than just get inspired. They copied his work too much. In 1955, Berry recorded a song called You Can't Catch Me.
Baby, you can't catch me. 'Cause if you get...
In the song, he sang the words, "Up Come a Flat Top." In 1969, the Beatles released Come Together, a song written mostly by John Lennon. The song had the words, "Here come old flat top." The owners of Berry's song noticed this and decided to take action. They sued the Beatles for copying part of the lyrics. Paul McCartney later admitted that he also copied a bass line from another Berry song for I Saw Her Standing There. The case was settled out of court. Later, Lennon admitted that he wrote Come Together using ideas from Berry's song, just in a different way. Berry's music was so powerful that even the Beatles could not resist borrowing from it. Chuck's journey was not always easy. He faced legal battles, unfair treatment, and racism throughout his career. One of Berry's biggest legal fights was over his famous song, Maybelline. When he recorded the song, he expected to receive full credit for writing it. But when the record came out, he was shocked to see that 2 other people, including DJ Alan Freed, were listed as co-writers. This meant that Berry had to share the money made from the song. He knew this was unfair because he had written the song himself. Berry took the case to court and fought to get back his full writing credit. After a long battle, he finally won and became the sole writer of Maybelline. This victory was important because it meant that he would receive all the money from the song and be recognized for his work. Being a black musician in the 1950s and 1960s was difficult. During that time, America was deeply segregated. Berry often had to perform in places where black and white audiences were separated. In some places, black people were not allowed to sit in the same areas as white people. Berry also had to use separate entrances and stay in different hotels from white performers. Sometimes, he was not even allowed to eat in the same restaurants. This was frustrating for Berry, but he kept going because he loved music and wanted to share it with the world.
I was trying to shoot for the entire population instead of the, shall we say, the neighborhood. Muddy Waters.
Despite these challenges, Berry became very successful. He had many hit songs, appeared in movies, and made a lot of money from touring. With his success, he decided to open his own nightclub in St. Louis. He wanted a place where both black and white people could come together and enjoy music.
And play good music for the white people and sell as well there as I could in the neighborhood.
He named it Berry's Club Bandstand. At the time, having an integrated nightclub was rare, and not everyone was happy about it. Berry faced legal trouble related to his club. Authorities accused him of breaking local rules and engaging in misconduct. Some believe that he was unfairly targeted because he was a successful black businessman. This was another difficult time in his life, but he did not give up. Berry's career had many ups and downs, but he remained a major figure in music. His struggles with unfair treatment and legal battles were not uncommon for black musicians at the time. Many artists faced similar problems but did not have the resources to fight back. Barry's success and determination made him an inspiration to many. His music helped break down racial barriers and brought people together.
The story, I don't know if this is true or not. Did he punch you in the face once?
Yes, he did.
He did, yeah.
To celebrate his 60th birthday, a big concert was planned at the Fox Theater in St. Louis. The idea was to record the show and turn it into a movie. Keith Richards, the guitarist of the Rolling Stones, helped organize everything. He brought in famous musicians like Eric Clapton, Johnny Johnson, and Robert Cray to play in the band. The show was supposed to be a grand tribute to Chuck Berry, but things did not go as planned. At first, everything seemed fine. The musicians practiced for weeks to make sure the show would be perfect. They even rehearsed at Chuck Berry's house. But one day, Berry got upset and walked out. No one expected that to happen. Later, during a practice session at the Fox Theater, reporters came to watch. Instead of working smoothly, things got tense. Chuck Berry did not like how Keith Richards was leading the band. He wanted to be in charge of his own songs. He shouted at Keith, telling him that he needed to take the lead. This caused more problems, and the atmosphere became uncomfortable. Even though Berry and Richards managed to make peace, the actual concert was a mess. There were many technical problems, and the filming process made everything worse. The audience waited for hours because of delays. The first show, which was supposed to start early in the evening, was very late. The second show started after midnight when many people were already tired. The concert that was meant to be a great tribute turned into a stressful experience for everyone. To make matters worse, Chuck Berry's singing was not as good as expected. When they listened to the recordings, they realized his voice was not strong enough. They had to fix it later by recording new vocals and adding them to the film. This was disappointing because fans wanted to hear the real performance. In the end, the tribute was not as great as people had hoped. It was supposed to be a celebration of Chuck Berry's legacy, but it turned into a night full of problems. Even though this event did not go well, Chuck Berry kept performing for many years. He loved playing music and continued to entertain crowds. He even had a regular show in a nightclub in St. Louis, where he played every month for nearly 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Anyway, Mr. Berry.
Dynamite. Dynamite. Thank you.
In his later years, Chuck Berry had health problems. His body became weak and he could not move as well as before. This made it hard for him to perform like he used to. He was known for his exciting stage presence, but as he got older, it became more difficult. His fans still loved him, but they noticed that he was not as strong as before.
I don't have the voice, I don't have the wind, I don't have the spirit, but believe me, I'll remember it the rest of my life.
After he passed away, some people made serious accusations about his past behavior. These accusations made his legacy more complicated. Some people still saw him as a music legend, while others had mixed feelings because of these stories. Even though he was gone, these discussions continued. One day, Berry was found at his home, not moving. Emergency workers came quickly, but they could not save him. His doctor later said that he had passed away. People were shocked and saddened by the news. He was a music icon, and his death felt like the end of an era.
That margin of glory is not too high. That margin of defeat then is also not too low. So I lived right through it without any pain.
His funeral was held in St. Louis, where he had lived for many years. Many people came to say goodbye, including his family, friends, and fans. He was placed in a coffin with his red guitar. There were beautiful flower arrangements, including one shaped like a guitar, sent by the Rolling Stones. A private ceremony was also held, where people shared stories about his life. A famous musician, Gene Simmons from the band Kiss, gave a speech about Berry's impact on music. Another musician, Little Richard, was supposed to be there but could not come because he was sick. The night before the funeral, many bars in St. Louis held a toast in his honor. Barry left behind a lot of money. His estate was worth millions, with a large part coming from his music. His songs were very valuable, and different companies owned parts of his work. His final album was released after his death, and his music is still remembered today. Barry was buried in a cemetery in St. Louis. Even after his death, his influence on music remains strong.